It is Wednesday, May 8th, and the Splash Zone is back in your life for tomorrow's NBA betting slate. I am Matt Modi, and I have three NBA player prop bangers for you guys to lock in for tomorrow's NBA betting slates. We have Cavs versus Celtics. We have Thunder versus Mavs. I'm going to have three plays for you guys to lock in for tomorrow. Of course, before I can get into tomorrow's picks, I got to do a recap from the last time you saw me. So I'm recording this before the games on Wednesday are played, but I do need to do a recap from Tuesday, which was amazing. Very, very happy to do a Tuesday recap. I ended up having 5 plays total on Tuesday. We got 4 of those 5 to cash. The only play that we lost was a half unit on PJ Washington, 3+ made 3-pointers. He made 2. Did not make a third, but we were able to cash out the Celtics minus 11.5 with ease. We cashed out Donovan Mitchell, 4+ made 3-pointers for a nice +180 juicy odds cash. We cashed out Jason Tatum over his rebounds prop over 8.5, and we cashed out Jaylen Brown over 6.5 first quarter points. Amazing day that we had on Tuesday, which was nice because Monday's day was terrible, but all of the losses that we had on Monday, we made up for and then some on Tuesday's bets. We were, again, 4-1, up 3.99 units on Tuesday alone. That brings our total profit on the entire season. We're up a little over 112 units. And then for the playoffs specifically, we are up about 4.3 units, I think is the exact number. Obviously, the success in the regular season was incredible. The playoffs success hasn't quite been there, but still up 4.3 units is pretty good when you consider how gross it feels. And we feel like we've had some bad stretches, some bad days, but up 4.3 units will gladly take being up in the playoffs. Let's hope we can keep the hot streak going. Let's hope Wednesday's plays were amazing. Let's hope these plays for tomorrow are amazing as well. If you are not already, I would appreciate it if you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. And then for this specific video, like and comment. I love reading through the comments and replying to as many as I can. And then the last thing I'll mention before I get into the bangers is that I do have a Dub Club where I send everything out for only $5 a month. The Dub Club gets you the same plays that you see me post on YouTube and on Twitter. The difference is I send them out immediately. So a lot of times, by the time I record, by the time I edit and post a video, the odds are different. So the Dub Club was my way to combat that. As soon as I decide what a play is, the very, very, very first thing I do is send it out to Dub Club. So you guys are that are in the Dub Club, able to get in plays before the odds change. But if you'd rather not spend the $5, you can obviously still get everything on YouTube and on Twitter. I just like to give people the option. But that's enough of that. You're only as good as your most recent bangers. So let's hope we can continue to splash around and get wet both tonight and tomorrow. The first play that we're going to lock in here, Cavaliers versus Celtics. Jaylen Brown over 5.5 first quarter points, minus 122 odds at DraftKings. I really have no idea what the books are doing with this price. Giving this to us at 5.5 when it was literally 6.5 in game 1, and he scored 15 points in game 1 as well. If by the time you're watching this, it has been bumped to 6.5, I would still take it at that price. I think that this is an amazing play on Jaylen Brown and his first quarter point prop. So he's played 2 games this playoffs without Kristaps Porzingis. In those 2 games, he scored 10 and 15 points in the first quarters of those 2 games. Gone over in both. And if you look at the entire playoffs, he's played 6 playoff games. He's gone over 5.5 first quarter points in 4 of 6 playoff games. And in the 2 games that he went under, he scored exactly 5 points. So even in his days that he's going under, he's still getting very, very close to the number we need him to take. So the floor is absolutely there for Jaylen Brown in his first quarter points on the entire playoffs. So through the 6 games, he's averaging 6.2 field goal attempts in the first quarter. And sure, he's not going to be as efficient as he was last game, going 5 of 6 from the field. But with the amount of shots that he takes, without Kristaps Porzingis in the lineup in the first quarter, he can afford to have a bad shooting game or bad shooting quarter and still cash this over. Game 3 against the Heat, he shot 3 of 9 from the field. That's not an efficient performance. What's amazing is the fact that he got up 9 shots, and that's not that crazy to expect him to get up another 9 shots in the first quarter of game 2 as well. That's just what Jaylen Brown does. He starts fast. That now makes it 14 of 21 games this entire season, both regular season and playoffs, that he's gone over 5.5 first quarter points without Kristaps Porzingis in the lineup. And he's averaging 6.6 field goal attempts in those 21 games as well. And if you isolate it to the games specifically against the Cavaliers, he has now gone over in 3 of 4 games against the Cavs. So we did it in 2 of 3 in the regular season, and then obviously he cashed us out in game 1 as well. The one game he missed, and I mentioned this in the last video, He scored 5 points and he shot 2 of 8 from the field. I will gladly take another 8 shot attempts, which again is not surprising at all. Would not be surprising if that did happen. Normally, I try to fade these types of results. I just don't think that the books are accurately pricing first quarter point props. And I think you can really find some value. So I'll gladly take advantage and continue to take advantage as long as we're getting a decent price on Jaylen Brown. This is an absolute smash play, in my opinion. As our first play, next up, we're heading to the Mavericks versus Thunder game. And my first play there, I'm taking Chet Holmgren over 8.5 rebounds, minus 104 odds at FanDuel. I get that this play is going to feel scary. Chet Holmgren is not known as a great rebounder, but I actually think this is a really good price and a really good play on Chet to go over his rebound prop. For starters, he went under in game 1, so we are able to bet the opposite of what happened in game 1. We are able to fade recent results with that one, with game 1, but he had 7 rebounds in that game, so it wasn't like he was terrible. But more importantly, he had 13 rebound chances. So he had about a 55% conversion rate. And I will say that's a pretty normal number. That's not an outlier performance or anything like that. That's not necessarily why I'm on it. But I do like the fact that it was close to his season averages. On the season, he averaged 14.5 rebound chances per game. That led the Thunder. He also averaged 7.9 actual rebounds per game. That also led the Thunder. But the reason why I'm on this play is that I like this as a matchup play against the Mavericks. And he's been pretty good in the playoffs as well. Now, to stick with the matchup for a second, I think that the Mavericks, what was the best thing that happened to the Mavericks in game 1? Was Daniel Gafford played incredibly well, and Derek Lively was pretty good at center as well. I think that the Mavericks are going to lean into it. They're going to lean into their centers, keeping Gafford and Lively on the floor, and they're not going to try and spread out the Thunder as much as I was expecting, honestly, them doing in game 1. Especially, as I mentioned, Gafford was awesome, but if Gafford and Lively are on the court, what that means is that Chet Holmgren is not being stretched out to the perimeter. He's guarding Gafford, he's guarding Lively, who are going to stick close to the basket. Generally, where you get rebounds is from being close to the basket. So that's kind of why I like the rebound angle for Chet. And he has a pretty good history against the Mavericks as well. Now, not all of these games were played with both Derek Lively and Dan Gafford in the lineup. But if you just look at the 5 games that he's played so far against the Mavericks, 4 in the regular season, then 1 in the playoffs, so 5 total. He missed it in game 1, but he cashed it in 3 of 4 of the regular season games against the Mavericks. He had 11, 12, 8, and 9 rebounds in the 4 games against the Mavericks. With some pretty crazy numbers. The one that he missed, we would have gotten hooked. He would have had exactly 8 rebounds. That would suck. That's always a possibility. In the game that he had 9 rebounds, he only played 11.5 minutes. That's right. He got 9 rebounds in 11.5 minutes, which is crazy. And if you look at the game log from game 1, there were some pretty big outlier rebound performances. SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, had 9 rebounds. His over-under was 5.5. Sure, if you want to tell me that SGA is going to rebound more in important games like the playoffs, that's fine. He's probably not going to have 9 game over game. An even bigger outlier was Jalen Williams, Jalen with a Y, had 9 rebounds. His over-under was 2.5. That is a massive outlier. If those go a little bit differently, that could easily be 2 more rebounds for Chet, which would have cashed this out in game 1. And Chet's rebound opportunities have been up in the playoffs. He's just been unlucky actually getting rebounds. As I mentioned, his rebound opportunities in the regular season was at 14.5. In the playoffs, it's at 15.6. Now, he's only gone over in 2 games, but his floor has been there. He's gotten 7 twice. One of them was in game 1, and then 8 another time. I think this is a great bounce back opportunity on Chet to get a bunch of rebounds by a bunch, hopefully just 9. That's our second play. Third up, our final pick of the video, sticking in the Mavericks versus Thunder. I'm taking Luka Doncic over 9.5 assists, minus 125 odds at DraftKings. So we're also fading recent results with this one as well. And, and I don't blame people, but everybody came out of game 1 thinking that was one of the grossest performances I've ever seen. The Mavericks looked completely outmatched, manhandled by the Thunder in game 1. And a lot of people were really down on the Mavericks. And I totally get that. But even with that disgustingly gross, pathetic performance, Luka Doncic had 9 assists, so would have gotten hooked. But more importantly, he had 20 potential assists. That's the most important number, and that's what I want to highlight here. That's how the Thunder play defense. They don't give up a lot of points to isolation scorers. They don't give up a lot of points to pick and roll ball handlers. They'll aggressively try to get the ball out of those guys' hands, which leads to a lot of at least potential assists. The reason why he went under because the Mavericks had a disgusting offensive game. It's unlikely that they're that disgusting on offense. And the 20 potential assist number is crazy. And it's not a complete outlier either. In the 3 games against the Thunder this year, Luka has had 18 assists in the first game. That's ridiculous. That's an insane number. And then in the last 2 games, he had 9 in each. So hooked twice, that would suck. And then a ridiculous 18 number. And then even if you want to say that Luka hasn't looked quite like himself in the playoffs, I would agree with you. I do think his knee injury is definitely bothering him. That's affecting him more as a scorer. His assists have still been pretty good. He had 6 assists in game 1 against the Clippers. That was bad. Since then, he's gotten 9 assists 3 times, and he's gone over 9.5 assists another 3 times with 10, 10, and 13 assists. So 3 hooks, 3 times he went over. But the more important number here are the potential assists. He's had 20 potential assists in each of the last 3 games. And if you're telling me that Luka is going to have 20 potential assists moving forward, I will gladly take him to at least have a 50% conversion ratio. In the regular season, his conversion ratio was up to 58%. Sure, even if it's not that high, because we're in the playoffs, it definitely should be better than the sub 50%, which is what we've seen in game 1 and a couple times as well with Luka. So I love this as a fade of recent results. I love it as our 3rd and final pick of the video. And that's all we got. 3 bangers for you guys to lock in. Make sure to like the video, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out my Dub Club if you are interested in getting everything sent to you early. That's all we got. Appreciate everybody for watching, and have a good one.